Good afternoon, and thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words today on behalf particularly of Catherine Angle-Hansen, the Director of the JPI Oceans Secretariat, but also on behalf of the Management Board for JPI Oceans. We've heard an awful lot of things already. I just wanted to perhaps go a little bit off my script, but pick out a few key things that haven't been said or that could be emphasised in the last couple of days' discussions. One of the things I should start by doing is just saying a little bit more about what JPI Oceans actually is. It's been mentioned a number of times, but not everybody in the room will be quite so familiar with it. It's one of the 10 joint programming initiatives. Joint programming initiatives are really a process. They're not a programme or a project in their own right. They're a process, a way of working, a way of bringing national governments, national investments together in marine and maritime science to try and align research agendas to get the best of the limited amount of public money available for marine and maritime science. We have 22 countries now involved in JPI Oceans, along with the Commission as an observer and non-voting member. And we're also reaching out to the wider international community, particularly the US, Canada and New Zealand, but others on a case-by-case basis. JPI Oceans developed in 2015 its broad strategic research and innovation agenda, and within that, the community is now taking forward a number of actions. This is not just joint calls for proposals, though those are important too, but also looking at ways that we can work together better through the sharing of infrastructure, through data harmonisation, through the creation of knowledge hubs, networks, whatever is actually needed to address some of the bottlenecks that we face in the marine science community. We don't have a specific definition of impact for JPI Oceans. We work with the other JPIs. We heard some of the P2P initiatives discussed this morning, but what we do is recognise that impact is essentially important, and we build that into the actions from the very outset, along with evaluation metrics and criteria, so we're capturing the information as we go along. What we haven't heard today, really, or in fact in the last 2 days, we've been talking about impact, but why actually is impact so important? And fundamentally, we're talking about public money, we're talking about your money as taxpayers, either channeled through the European Commission's framework programmes or through national investments. So we're all, to a large extent, self-employed. And we have to be able to justify what we're doing to ourselves, to the wider community, and to fight for the budgets that we're interested in for marine and maritime science against all the other competing demands that are made by the taxpayers. Do we want to be funding marine science? Do we want a new hospital? Etc., etc. Those are the sorts of issues that we're addressing in society. We have to be absolutely clear about what we're doing and why we're doing it and why it's going to make a difference. So I think that wasn't really brought out in the last day or so. So JPI Oceans is taking forward a number of actions with impacts built in, impact opportunities built in. For example, in deep sea mining, we have a research project sharing infrastructure, but looking directly at influencing the International Seabed Authority's mining codes. So something where it's very obviously targeted from the outset what we're trying to do. You also heard that we've got a number of projects now on microplastics, an emerging research topic, where the countries in JPI Oceans, 10 countries, came together a couple of years ago and said, this is clearly an emerging issue, we'd like to do something. Let's not necessarily go through the sort of long-winded process of influencing the framework programme and then getting a call out and then responding to it, but let's actually put some money straight on the table, have a call for proposals, fund some projects, get on and do it. And that's a sort of example of the flexibility that the JPI Oceans community has to take things forward when they see an urgency. But we're also, as I say, building an evaluation from the outset and looking at a range of measures. One thing which has come up in the discussions has been what's the difference between JPI Oceans and the interaction with bonus. And clearly for us, JPI Oceans is a pan-European initiative with its 22 member countries. It's looking at a whole range of marine and maritime issues, not just on a regional seabed basis. But that, of course, is absolutely important too. Bonus, as it currently stands as a 185, is predominantly a funding mechanism to generate and take forward projects. And so both of those can exist very well in complementarity. However, it is recognised that there are synergies, there's scope for greater interaction. So one thing I wanted to put on record is that the JPI Oceans Management Board and the Bonus Steering Committee have established a subgroup, working group, looking at the scope for synergies, the areas where we can exchange information, share best practices between the secretariats, between the ways that the programmes are developed and run. And that, I think, is a really important aspect, and we see that continuing, I hope, and as we go forward. Looking specifically at bonus and where we can be successful together. One of the other things we haven't heard about is we've heard the vast number of publications, for example, that have been made through the bonus project. One of the things that JPI Oceans also thinks is important in terms of impact is looking not just at the research that's newly being done now, but looking at some of the research that's been commissioned in the past. Are we getting the optimum impact from that pre-commissioned research, the money that's already been spent? And I think that's something that we can also perhaps look with bonus at the existing projects. Are we getting the best out of those? We've been celebrating and heard about the impacts of bonus in the last couple of days. We've heard a lot already, and clearly bonus is making a real impact in the policy dimension, particularly around the MSFD, but in other areas also. And it's provided a harmonised way to look at the issues surrounding the management of a regional sea basin, harmonisation of data, clustering of projects, I think is a particularly important aspect. And it would be good if we can develop some ways of clustering the bonus projects with the relevant JPI Oceans projects in due course. And there's a real opportunity now, I think, for the bonus community, as the projects continue to develop, to also bring the bonus 185 experience to the wider European and international communities. Bonus has developed some very good tools and ways of working, and there's, as we've heard, the regional Black Sea already as willing to learn and interested in learning from this, but there are other areas too where bonus could share its expertise and examples. And that's really, I think, the key thing is you've learnt a lot, done a lot, and let's share it for the benefit of the wider community. So as this is a celebration of 10 years, bonus, many congratulations, and we look forward to continue to work with you, drawing on your many achievements and highlighting those perhaps through JPI Oceans as well, maybe being a platform for bonus and its successor to collaborate with the wider European and international community going forward. So thank you for that, and let's continue to work for the benefit of all who have an interest in the stake of our oceans and seas. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie.